Hey guys, Ryan here for Bender Wins. Hope everyone's doing well today. Here with your daily free picks. All right, guys. So yesterday we went 1-1 in free picks. We had Baltimore at plus 175. They got edged out by 8 runs in that game, so we lost that. And we had Tampa Bay to win the cup yesterday, which they did get done. Congratulations to Tampa Bay. A lot of people saying, Tampa Bay, they were over the salary cap, they exploited the system, yada, yada, yada. Technically true. Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem I have with people saying that. Chicago wins the Stanley Cup, and Tampa Bay protests how they won the cup because they did the exact same thing Tampa Bay did. Now, everyone at the time looked at Chicago and said, brilliant. Really, really well played. You exploited the system, and Tampa Bay being a bunch of crybabies. So Tampa Bay, basically went to the rest of the owners, went to the rest of the league and said, we have to close this loophole. Nobody supported it. Nobody. So Tampa Bay basically said, okay, so this year, Tampa Bay took advantage of it and won a Stanley Cup. I have no issue with it at all. They were the only team that came out. I would have liked to see a Canadian team win this year, but they were the only team that came out in opposition of what Chicago Blackhawks did. And now, for whatever reason, Chicago, when they did it, they were like brilliant, but Tampa Bay, they're a bunch of cheaters and blah, blah, blah. They tried to close the loophole. Everyone said no, so Tampa Bay said, fine, we can do that too. And they did. So good for them. Congratulations, Tampa. Anyways, Tampa Bay, guys, look, I want to talk about. So it seems like every time I post a big favorite, people are like, I will never bet over this, or I will never bet over that, okay? And at the end of the day, look, I get it, okay? If it's an emotional thing that you can't handle, the big swings that you get with large favorites, that's totally fine, okay? That's knowing your limitations. That's self-awareness. That's an important part of sports betting. However, some of the reasoning that I have not betting big favorites is just not sound, okay? And that's why I want to kind of dispel some of the myths today and discuss, how we can find value. And one of the ways that, especially in hockey, one of the ways that I can utilize just simple math to figure out if I'm finding value or not finding value, okay? Now, there are some certain skills you'll have to hone over a while, but this is something you can easily track, and you can kind of gauge what your margin of error is, because that's how we're going to figure this out. So let's take a look. Let's break down yesterday's Tampa Bay game to simple math, okay? So at minus 225, that has what's called implied odds, okay? Implied odds of 69.23%, okay? So that is an expected win rate based on those odds, okay? Now, that does not mean that Tampa Bay is going to win exactly 69.23% of the time. No, this is where we find the value. Will Tampa Bay win more than that? We bet on them. Will they win less than that? We would bet against them, right? So in this particular case, guys, at 69.23%, the true odds are minus 225. And those are the odds that we bet yesterday, minus 225. Now, my expectation of Tampa Bay winning that game yesterday, I did mention this on the Facebook group. I expect them to win 74 to 76% of the time. So what I quickly go ahead and do, and there's calculators online now. I mean, you don't have to do this the old-fashioned way. You can do this. There's just calculators online you can use for this. I'm going to enter 74% and see what what the implied odds are of that. It's minus 285, okay? Now, if I enter 76%, that is minus 320, okay? So now I have a range where my expected odds are, they should be, in my opinion, minus 285 to minus 320, and we're getting 225. Now I go a step further than that, and I actually I'm more cautious in this. So what you could do is you could factor in now what we call your margin of error, okay? And the only way you figure out a margin of error is by doing this for a long time and tracking your results on these specific games, right? So I looked at, in my opinion, on hockey at this point in time, I'm looking at about a 1.5% to 2% margin of error in terms of my expected winning percentages. Now, when you first start out, you might have a 4 or 5% or even a 10% margin of error if you don't really know hockey that well. But I've got this down to the point where, my margin of error is very small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the largest part of that margin of error, which is 2%, And I'm going to take that off of the 74% because 74% was, in my opinion, the lowest chance I believe that Tampa Bay would win this game at. If I take that off, it goes to 72%. Now at 72%, I hope we're following, at 72%, the true line is minus 260. So you can see that even factoring in a margin of error of 2% on my overall win rate, there's still an edge at 225. That's what we're paying, minus 225. And even with a 2% margin of error is minus 260. So now what I go ahead and do, I do not give myself a margin of error up because I want this to be a conservative estimate, okay? So I give myself only the margin of error down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two odds that I set, the one at 74%, because I believe it's 74 to 76%. Take 74%. That gives me a line of minus 285, okay? And I take my line of 76%. That gives me a line of minus 320. I add those together, okay? Now I have a total. Now I add one more total. What do I add? I add the margin of error line, which is minus 260, okay? When I dropped it down to a win rate, even though I think it'll be 74%, I give that 2% margin of error at 62%. I add that line in, 260, okay? So now we take 260, we add that up with the minus 320 and the minus 285, and we get a number of 865. We divide that by the three numbers we added together. So basically just divide it by 3, and we get an average line there of minus 288. And historically speaking, guys, when I bet on these games, again, you could just work off your margin of error number, okay? That's the most conservative approach. But I believe the true line in yesterday's game should not have been minus 225, but instead minus 288. All right? And there you go, guys. So I say simple math. It's fairly simple math, okay? It might take a little while to kind of wrap your head around a little bit, but doing that, guys, is how you arrive at value. And when we look at a line that should be minus 288, and we're getting minus 225, even if you don't want to say 288, even if you want to take that margin of error, that 2% downward margin of error, and say the line should have been 260, and we're getting 225, there's a significant amount of value there. So this comes back to my point, guys, that people who say, I will not bet big favorites, I won't lay over 200 juice, I won't lay over 170, you're thinking wrong about sports betting. You're thinking about sports betting short term, okay? And sports betting cannot be looked at short term, because when you start looking at sports betting short term, what are you going to do? You're going to start worrying about your bankroll. You're going to start chasing. You're going to miss out on value, like this play yesterday, which had a lot of value to it, okay? Yes, they were a big favorite, okay? But there was a lot of value on this play. And so you have to start changing the mindset, okay? Change the way you think about sports betting. First, by thinking long-term, okay? Stop thinking about today. Stop worrying about what happened today or what happened yesterday. Start focusing on the value and looking at the long-term. So that's number one, guys. Number two is, again, you can't shy away from value, okay? Value presents itself wherever it presents itself, okay? In soccer, look, we take teams in soccer plus 850. Are they going to win most of those games? No. What are they going to win? Like, I don't know, 13, 14, 15%. It's enough, though, that we have value on those. We're not expecting them to win. So that's how you have to change your mindset, is stop trying to pick teams because you think they're going to win. Start picking teams because the math tells you that in the long term, that is a good winning proposition. All right? A lot of times, look, you're going to take picks, guys. I'm not afraid to come out here and look bad when I take plays, okay? Take some ugly-looking dogs sometime. They come in, we get good value. They don't, it looks like crap. But at the end of the day, guys, I know there's positive EV, positive expected value on those games. And that's just one of the ways you can arrive at those numbers. All right, guys. So here's what we're going to do today, guys, in free picks. There's a couple ways you guys can play. All right. This is how I'm telling you guys, this is how I played it. So I have a couple plays that I really like today, both in the same game. Okay. I've talked about the rare times that we throw down parlays, guys. It just happens to be on what? Correlating plays. Okay. We want those plays to be correlating, that the result of one outcome should dictate the result of the other outcome. And in this particular case, guys, I like two results to happen in one game. So What I've elected to do, and you can do this any way you would like, okay? We have 2 games. If you want to go ahead, I have a total of 3 units on these 2 plays. If you want to go ahead and you bet 1.5 units on each game, go right ahead and do that. If you want to just bet a unit on each game, you can go ahead and do that. What I've gone ahead and done is I've put a unit on each game, but I've also done a full 1 unit parlay with these 2 teams as well, guys, because I think in this particular case, the value warrants us going ahead and doing that. Now, again, let's keep in mind and let's look at this because, again, how am I looking at it? Long term, right? So today, guys, in order to turn a profit on this, we would, in fact, have to go 2-0, okay? Any other result other than 2-0 is a loss for us. So if we do manage to go 2-0 on this, we'll pick up over 4.5 units, okay? If we go 1-1, we're going to lose a unit and a little bit of juice, okay? So if we only win one of these, we're losing either way, okay? Because we lose on our parlay. If you don't feel comfortable with that option, just go ahead and bet them for 1.5 units each or bet it for a unit. That is fine. If we go 0-2 on these, if both these lose, if the team that we're not betting on comes out and they slug a bunch of runs, we lose 3 units on that. Okay, so figure out what you're going to do. For me, guys, I'm going to give it to you the way that I bet it. All right, and the way that I bet it is I bet a unit on each game or a unit on each play, and I bet a full 1 unit parlay as well. Okay, and again, guys, if you've been watching this channel for a long time, I don't bet a lot of parlays. I really don't. Parlays, you have to find the right opportunity. And I believe that, we have a good chance with this particular game. There's great value on both sides. So we can combine those and actually negate that 10% house edge because that is a big house edge. Yeah. So anyways, guys, without further ado, what game is it? All right, we're looking at Chicago Cubs and Philly. All right, first off, guys, we are going to bet 1 unit on the Chicago Cubs and Philly to go under 7.5 minus 115. Okay, Chicago Cubs, Philly under 7.5 minus 115. Then we are going to bet 1 unit Chicago Cubs minus 111. Okay, so 1 unit Chicago Cubs minus 111. And then we're going to go ahead and parlay that, guys, a 1 unit parlay. It's plus 265, okay? So we'll parlay a full unit on that, guys. Sometimes in these cases, you've seen in the past where I said, okay, we'll go half unit. I think there is significant value. The other way to play it, like I said, 1.5 units, 1.5 units. You don't want to get involved in a parlay because, look, if we go 1-1, we're losing a unit, okay? We're going to lose a unit and a little bit of juice. So this must be a 2-0 play. So again, it just depends on your level of comfort with your bankroll fluctuation, etc. Again, guys, for me, I look at sports betting not in the short term. Okay, it's an impossibility. I will say it's an impossibility to win at sports betting if you focus on the short term. You can't. You just make such poor decision. You'd never bet underdogs. Like you'd chase. You do all kinds of wrong things. You got to look at it long term. And when you look at this long term, that is the play. Long video today, guys. Gonna take me a while to upload this. This is not the same internet I had back where I used to live. But anyways, Elon Musk will come to our rescue soon. We're gonna get Starlink up here. All right, guys. Masterclass. If you're interested in Masterclass, benderwins.com. It's $99 a month, guys. I have 3 additional baseball plays, and then I have four NBA player props. Most of the player props I give out are half unit plays, but I do have a full unit player prop today as well. So, yeah, the Masterclass, guys, benderwins.com, $99 a month, gets my full card every single day. In-depth, like educational stuff, similar to like what we went over today. Yeah, and obviously all of our educational videos. There's 14 Masterclass full educational videos. Go through all my systems and all kinds of different educational stuff to take your sports betting to the next level. All right, guys, so thank you very much. I really appreciate it, guys. And as always, have a very lucky day.